Invocation by Ms. Christy Chabert, District 15. Pledge of Allegiance to the flag by Mr. Al Archer, District 13.
Heavenly Father, thank you for allowing us to come together this evening to serve our school district and its people. Allow your holy wisdom to be upon us as we make the decisions needed to move our system forward. Watch over and protect all employees and students as we continue to navigate our way through this global pandemic. Allow us to always see your beauty, feel your love, know your wisdom, and experience your power. We ask all of this in your holy name.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Roll call.
Ms. Madden?
Here.
Ms. Huddleston cannot be here. Thomas cannot be here. Ms. Petita?
Here.
Dr. Brook?
Here.
Dr. Guillotte? Here. Ms. Bourgeois?
Here.
Mr. Dufresne? Here. Mr. Schwest? Here. Mr. Blazon? Here. Mr. Duplantis? Here. Mr. Long? Here. Mr. Archer? Here. Mr. Bernard? Here. Ms. Chabert?
Here. Thank you. 2, approval of board consent agenda. A, approval of board consent agenda items. B, minutes of regular board meeting held February 3rd, 2021. C, minutes of superintendent evaluation committee meeting held February 23rd, 2021. D, minutes of policy and procedure committee meeting held February 23rd, 2021. E, minutes of Transportation Committee meeting held February 23rd, 2021. F, minutes of Land and Facilities Management Committee meeting held February 23rd, 2021. G, minutes of Insurance Committee meeting held February 24th, 2021. H, minutes of Finance Committee meeting held February 24th, 2021. I, minutes of Academics Committee meeting held February 24th, 2021. J, observances in school. Employee Appreciation Day on Friday, March 5th, 2021. Retired Teachers Day on Thursday, March 18th, 2021. And at this time, I would like to add the National School Social Worker Week, March 7th through the 13th. And to add this item, I will need a motion to add. Dr. Guillotte, I'll need a second. Ms. Valerie Bourgeois. We will do a hand vote to add this item to the agenda. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries. Now we will, I need a motion for the board approval consent agenda items. Mr. Long, second. Mr. Archer, and we will vote. And motion carries. And just to make that clear, the observances are Employee Appreciation Day, Friday, March 5th, Retired Teachers Day, Thursday, March 18th, and the National School Social Workers Week, March 7th through the 13th. Thank you. At this time, I would like to recommend to move item 7A to this point on our agenda. That is an item from the Finance Committee. We need a motion to move that. Ms. Petita, second by Ms. Christy Chabert. So all in favor, we'll do a hand vote on that. Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. We are going to jump to 7A. Ms. Chabert.
To adopt a resolution approving the acceptance of the bid for the purchase of general obligation school bonds, Series 2021, of Consolidated School District Number 1 of the Parish of Lafourche, State of Louisiana. So moved.
Moved by Ms. Christie Chabert, second by Dr. Giat. We have asked Mr. Jason Akers to come and speak on this. This is some really, really good and exciting news, and that's why we wanted to move it to the forefront. So, Mr. Akers.
Good. Thank you very much, board members. I'm Jason Akers with Phil Leadell. I apologize if you can't see me smiling underneath the mask, but this is really good news. In accordance with the permissions granted by this board on January 6th, we started marketing $45 million in general obligation bonds. These are bonds that were approved by the public in 2017. You've already issued the first tranche. This is a second tranche. There's actually $17 million left that has not been issued yet. In connection with that marketing, we prepared what we call a preliminary official statement. It's somewhat sizable. It's really just a big marketing brochure about the school board, about Lafourche Parish as a whole. And we went to the rating agencies. The rating agencies actually, Standard & Poor's, took a look at your finances, at your management, and they actually raised your outlook of your rating from stable to positive, which is what we also is a precursor to a rating upgrade, which we think you're in line for. We think you deserve already, but we think you're certainly in line for in the coming months, if not over the next 18 months or so. We have conducted a competitive sale. This morning, bids came in at 11:30 a.m. We really typically like to get at least 3 bids on a competitive sale. You had 6. And just to read these out for you for the record, Morgan Stanley bid 2.40, Robert W. Baird 2.42, Citigroup 2.44, Wells Fargo 2.45, Mesero Financial was 2.54, and Huntington Securities was a 2.95. Those are net rates, actually, which means that they subtract out a premium. And in this case, Morgan Stanley, which was the lowest bidder, actually offered to pay more than $45 million for your bonds. In fact, their offer was to pay you $49,470,000 to purchase $45 million worth of bonds. You may ask, why would somebody pay $4.5 million more? The easy answer is that people that have $45 million to invest think about the world differently than the rest of us do. But the real answer is that they would like to get a higher coupon, a higher interest rate on the bonds, so they're willing to pay more to get that higher interest rate. That's the yield calculation that goes into it. So they look at things from a yield perspective, not necessarily a coupon perspective. And that comes to benefit you, because that's an extra $4.5 million to $4.4 million that you get to put into projects within the school board's facilities. So the resolution before you, first of all, awards the bid of Morgan Stanley, to Morgan Stanley, and accepts that bid, which has actually already been done. That was authorization that you granted on January 6th. So it just accepts that award. It authorizes us to take any actions that are necessary in order to move forward with the closing. It authorizes the deposit of the full amount into a construction fund to be used for projects. And then it actually it has a little bit more details about the terms of the bonds, the principal amounts, interest rates, etc. With your approval tonight, we'll begin the closing process. Our goal is to have funds available for you on March 31st, and you'll be able to begin spending at that point. Since these are general obligation bonds and municipal borrowing, you will actually get all that money up front. LaFawn and her team will put it into a separate account. It can only be used for those construction projects, which Evan has confirmed to me will be no problem at all. I can tell you that we always go into competitive sales like this with our fingers crossed and hope that we're going to be pleasantly surprised. Today, we were pleasantly surprised. I think this is an excellent result. It goes to show how this board has stabilized its finances and its management, and you should be congratulated on that. The proof is in the details here. So congratulations. We're very happy to be a part of it. And I'm happy to answer any questions that you have.
Thank you, Mr. Akers. Do we have any public comment? Do we have any board comment? Questions? Mr. Archer?
It's a blessing.
Yes. Mr. Plaisance?
Thank you, Madam President. I'd just like to say thank you for what y'all do
And I'd also like to make sure that he can zoom in on his map, that's one of the greatest maps I've ever seen. Yeah. But on a very serious note, it is truly a blessing, and any amount of money, even exceeding the $45 million is a bonus. I'm sure Evan and Mr. Martin could very wisely spend this money on lots of projects that we do have, so thank you for your
Any other board comments? Thank you so much, Mr. Akers, for coming and explaining all of that and delivering that wonderful news.
Thank you very much, we appreciate it.
Thank you,
Thank
sir.
you. Okay, we will go ahead and vote. Motion carries. 3, approval of superintendent evaluation committee recommendations as per meeting held Tuesday, February 23rd, 2021. Mr. Bernard.
Yes, letter A, to approve revisions, to approve revisions to the superintendent's evaluation form and online instrument, and to continue utilizing the online evaluation instrument through the LaFouche Parish School Board Google domain. I so move.
Moved by Mr. Bernard, second by Mr. Timon. Any public discussion? Any board discussion? Being none, we'll vote. Motion carries. Mr. Bernard, B.
Madam President, letter B, to approve revisions to the current board procedure for the superintendent's evaluation. So moved.
Motion by Mr. Bernard, second by Ms. Mary Petita. Any public comment? Any board comment? Ms. Petita.
I just wanted to state to the entire board that the reason that we met to make these revisions was really the evaluation was never really put into place. It was a practice the first time that we did it. And so we found after practicing with it that there were some needed changes, and so that's why these were done. It doesn't really affect the evaluation itself that much, but it's going to make it a little more practical for the board members. And I thank Mr. Bernard for the good job that he did with helping us with putting that in place.
Any further board comment? Being none, we'll vote. Motion carries.
All righty, letter C, are we ready, Madam President?
Yes,
To
sir.
approve the timelines for the superintendent's spring and fall evaluation. Madam President, this particular agenda item, I would like to postpone it due to a few calendar concerns when the date was initially set. So with that in mind, I move that we postpone this agenda item till we can clarify that and reintroduce it at our next board meeting.
Okay, Mr. Bernard will motion, and Mr. Joey Duplantis will second that motion. And, want us to do a hand vote? Hand vote, all in favor of postponing this? Motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Bernard. 4, approval of policy and procedure committee recommendations as per meeting held Tuesday, February 23rd, 2021. Dr. Dennis Guiar.
To approve revisions to policy BC, school board meetings, CEI, evaluation of the superintendent, and BCA, membership in school board association. I so move.
Motion by Dr. Dennis Guiar, second by Ms. Tina Babin. Any public comment? Any board comment? Being none, we'll vote. Are you up and running, Mr. Dufresne? Motion carries.
B, to receive a report from Superintendent Martin regarding policy DJD, expense reimbursement.
Yes, sir. The board has policy DJD that governs employee travel. This is the same policy that has serviced the board for many, many years, but beginning with the financial crisis that the board faced in 2016, board action on actually March 2nd, 2016, and then again on March 3rd, 2018, we suspended employee out-of-state travel because of financial concerns. We have been very fortunate, and as we just heard from Mr. Akers, our financial rating has been in much improved place, and we now have a much improved undedicated fund balance. And because of those things, we'd like to get back to the business of providing professional development for our teachers, our principals, and our staff so that we can make sure that we stay at the cutting edge of all the good ideas that other districts around the nation are doing. And so with that, I recommend we do adopt this, not new policy, but old policy, and go back to exactly what policy was put in place prior to the financial crisis that the district faced in 2016.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Martin. Dr. Guiar.
So my understanding is this is actually in place already, so we don't have a formal adoption to it.
Thank you. I think I misspoke. So by no action, and this was presented to the policy committee a few weeks ago, we are openly and transparently saying that the existing policy is what's going to guide our practices. By virtue of board action, this policy had been tabled and the restrictions that the board had placed on travel were in place. So I just wanted to spoke into the board and answer any questions about how this policy is now once again the active and driving policy as it relates to employee travel. Thank you for the clarification, Dr. Lee.
Any further comments? Mr. Bernard?
Yes, I'm glad you mentioned the fact I was on the previous school board and we did implement an embargo at that particular time on in-state and out-of-state travel. So you feel comfortable even with the COVID-19 restrictions and sales taxes and all, you feel comfortable with going ahead with in-state and out-of-state travel. Now, as you just said, this also pertains to the 15 board members as far as in-state and out-of-state travel is concerned as well.
So the previous agenda item 3A is the policy that pertains to the board. I believe it is actually CEI.
Yeah.
No, BCA is the policy that governs the board's participation and travel to things like the LSBA. This item, DJD, is just for employees.
Just for the employee?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and you are comfortable, as obviously we saw the good news tonight, that the embargo will be lifted. Thank you, Madam President.
Yes, sir.
Any other comments?
Just one quick thing, and Mr. Martin brought it up at the policy and procedure meeting. You know, keep in mind, the vast majority of our teacher expenses for that are paid by the school, not the board in general. I mean, there's some rare exceptions. So, I mean, just keep that in mind. That's usually up to the principal of the school to determine if they have the funds to pay for the teachers to go wherever. So, and it goes through the approval process. So just, you know, kind of keep that in mind as well.
Thank you, Mr. Long. Any further comments? If none, we will move on. 5, approval of land recommendations as per meeting held Tuesday, February 23rd, 2021. Mr. Long.
Thank you, Madam President. To accept a credit change order in the amount of $57,691.00 for final quantity adjustments of several line items of the scope of work for the new Thibodeau Middle School project. So moved.
Motion by Mr. Tim Long, second by Mr. Joey Duplantis. Any public comment? Any board comment? Hearing none, we'll vote. Motion carries.
Item B, to accept the low proposal in the amount of $43,315.00 from CJ's Electrical Service Incorporated for the replacement of the generator at South Lafourche High School due to Hurricane Zeta damages. So moved.
Motion by Mr. Tim Long, second by Mr. Randy Schwest. Any public comment? Any board comment? Being none, we'll vote. Motion carries.
Item C, to authorize advertisement for bids for the 2021-2022 fiscal school year as the need arises in compliance with current bid laws for the purchase of janitorial and general maintenance supplies. So moved.
Motion by Mr. Tim Long, second by Ms. Valerie Bourgeois. Any public comment? Any board comment? Being none, we'll vote. Motion carries. 6, approval of insurance committee recommendations as per meeting held Wednesday, February 24th, 2021. Ms. Marion Fertitta.
Yes, the risk of terrorism attack, both domestic and foreign, to approve adding terrorism coverage to the cyber liability policy at the cost of $435 per year as recommended by Mr. John Morris. So moved.
Motion by Ms. Marion Fertitta, second by Mr. Tyler Dufresne. Any public comment? Any board comment?
I just have a question. I know I missed a meeting, so this may be redundant for some, but like, could you give me an example of what something like this would cover? Like a cyber attack or this ransomware type stuff?
Mr. Norris?
Yes.
Thank you for coming, Mr. Norris.
Oh, you bet. Glad to do it.
Answer any question we have.
This is why I came to this company this evening.
We appreciate it.
The terrorism coverage is something that would cover ransomware. There's been a lot of claims under this type of policy. The type of this insurance is going up. We had to switch companies, but we saved a little money. We got a little broader coverage. But ransomware is covered, and it's pretty broad coverage. And it's the same company we have our general liability insurance with. Anything else?
Any additional questions?
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Norris. If not, we will vote. Motion carries. 7, approval of Finance Committee recommendations as per meeting held February 24th, 2021. Ms. Christie Chavert.
B, to authorize advertisement for bids on small equipment and large equipment needed by the Child Nutrition Department throughout the 2021-2022 school year as the need arises in compliance with current bid laws. I so move.
Motion by Ms. Christie Chavert, second by Mr. Barry Blazons. Any public comment? Any board comment? Being none, we'll vote. Motion carries.
C, to authorize advertisement for bids on the following items needed by the Child Nutrition Department throughout the 2021-2022 school year as the need arises in compliance with regulations of the State Department of Education. A, milk and milk products. B, bread. C, all other food items. D, janitorial and cable products. E, cleaning of race traps. F, concentrated detergents. I so move.
Motion by Ms. Christie Chabert, second by Mr. Ray Bernard. Any public comment? Any board comment? Being none, we'll vote. Motion carries.
D, to approve the auto renewal of ERP software support services from Tyler Technologies for Munis applications in an estimated amount of $95,000 for the 2021-2022 fiscal year. I so move.
Motion by Ms. Christie Chabert, second by Ms. Marion Fertitta. Any public comment? Any board comment or questions? Being none, we'll vote. Motion carries.
E, to authorize advertisements for bids for the 2021-2022 fiscal year as need arises in compliance with current bid laws for pandemic and emergency supplies. I so move.
Motion by Ms. Christie Chabert, second by Dr. Dennis Guiot. Any public comment? Any board comment? Being none, we will vote. Motion carries.
F, to award the highest scored proposal from Transformix for E-rate Cat 2 products and services for Aruba Central transceivers and switches. I so move.
Motion by Ms. Christie Chabert, second by Mr. Tim Long. Any public comment? Any board comment or questions? Ms. Val?
I just have to say that with all these bids, it's that time of year when we're doing double duty of ending the school year and trying to start the new one. But thank you ladies for working so hard and doing that double duty at this time of the year.
Thank you. And Mr. Jamie also.
Yeah, and the gentleman.
Yes.
Guess I was looking this way, sorry, Jamie.
Any other comments or questions? Being none, we'll vote. Motion carries.
G, to authorize an extension of Laporte's contract for external audit services for fiscal years 2021 and 2022. I so move.
Motion by Ms. Christie Chabert, second by Ms. Tina Babin. Any public comment? Any board comment or questions? Nope, Ms. LaFawn's off the hook. Being none, we will vote. Motion carries. 8, new business. A, introduce new administrators. Mr. Moore.
Yes, ma'am. I'd like to introduce 2 new administrators tonight. The first is, I think Mr. Cook is here, right? So, I'm behind. So, Mr. Cook joined us, and so we had to replace the principal at the West Thibodeau Middle School. I'm assuming that Ms. Latanya Young continues or intends to continue the title, the West Thibodeau Middle
Yes.
School principal. And so we want to welcome her to the team of principals in Lafourche Parish. She's a longtime administrator in Lafourche Parish, very deserving of this title. She actually worked under Mr. Cook for a brief time, if I remember serves me correctly, and welcome aboard. Please stand up and say a few words.
As you can see, I do have a great big smile on my face. It is an honor, it is a privilege to stand before you and acknowledge, thank you for entrusting in me to continue to lead the West Thibodeau into greatness, in hopes of leading the Thibodeau Middle School into greatness. Again, I thank you for the opportunity, and I will do my very best to continue this legacy.
And our second administrator that I want to introduce tonight, again, I'm going to talk about Greg just for a second. You know, one of the metrics that we have to evaluate principals on is developing a pipeline of leaders. And what that means is, are you developing the people beneath you to take your place? And so the new assistant principal at Raceland Upper Elementary School, again, another person who's worked under Mr. Cook and is now excited to work at Raceland Upper Elementary School. Another fantastic leader who I was able to work with, Ms. Lisa Boudreau, is Mr. Norman Edmonds Jr. Congratulations, Mr. Edmonds.
Good evening, everyone. First and foremost, I'd like to, again, as Ms. Young said, echo those sentiments. I'm grateful for the opportunity to continue on a different platform of servant leadership. I've had great examples of leadership. Mr. Cook, we are all fruit of his tree, so to speak, all off of his branch. And I've known Mr. Cook quite a while. He was my all-star biddy basketball coach when we were both pretty young. He was a young man, and I was a young kid. So I just definitely appreciate the opportunity. I'm a product of Lafourche Parish, attended West Thibodeau when it was a junior high school. So it's definitely a joy to come back home, so to speak, and be there for the past 8 years that I have been and served in many capacities. And thanks again to Mr. Cook for giving me the opportunity to learn and to grow. So I am definitely excited about taking on a new challenge at Raceland Upper. They received me so well. I felt so welcome and so at home already with Ms. Boudreau, as well as Ms. Babin, our administrative assistant, and the whole faculty and staff there, as well as the community. So again, I've been fortunate to be with Ms. Young as well, who's our administrative assistant and master teacher when I first got to West. And just the love that was there, the camaraderie that was there, it instilled not only a fueling of the passion for education, but what true friendship could be in terms of having workmates that are your friends as well. So I'm thankful, I'm grateful, and I'll be remiss if I didn't mention my wife, who I definitely married up, and I'm blessed. And I have a great example with her as well, because she has been in administration, elementary and middle school, for the past 10 years. And middle school principal of the year, turnaround schools do a whole lot. So I have a great mentor at home as well. So thank you again.
Congratulations to both of you. Ms.
I just have to say, Ms. Young gets to say the West. Mr. Edmonds, you have to learn it's the Raceland way.
Ms. Boudreau would know.
That's right.
Thank you both. B, to consider approving the calendar for the 2021-2022 school year. Mr. Phipps.
Superintendent Martin, President Bro, members of the board. Each year, school districts must adopt a school calendar for the upcoming year. The state law mandates a school calendar that must feature a minimum of 63,720 minutes of instructional time for students. This equates to a minimum of 360 minutes per day. It also mandates 182 working days for teachers. If you would refer to our proposed calendar for the 21-22 school year, you will see that it features 65,625 minutes of instructional time at 375 minutes per day, which is well above the minimum instructional minutes required. This allows us to bill 5 days emergency time so that if schools have to close due to emergency situations, we would not have to make up the days. Please be aware that in the event of school closures beyond the 5 days, holidays could be eliminated at the discretion of the superintendent to meet the minimum number of instructional days. Professional days will once again consist of whole days. There will be a total of 5 professional days beginning on August 2nd and 3rd, September 7th, October 12th, and January 18th. The calendar also features 2 teacher records days, one on Wednesday, August 4th, 2021, and one on Monday, May 23rd, 2022. With this total, our teachers will have the mandated 182 working days. Students' first day of school will be on Thursday, August 5th, 2021, and the last day of school will be on Friday, May 20th, 2022. The holiday schedule is coded in pink. Finally, the calendar has been approved by our superintendent and curriculum committee, and I present it to you for adoption for the 21-22 school year.
Thank you, Mr. Phillips. Can I have a motion? Motion by Mr. Barry Blazon, second by Mr. Randy Schwest. Any public comment? Any board comment? Being none, we will vote. Motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Phillips, for your hard work and your office as well. 9, memorial resolutions. Ms. Rowena Claude. Ms. Rowena Claude was hired by the Lafourche Parish School District on August 7, 1948, as a school teacher at Cutoff High School. Ms. Claude also taught at LaRose High School, LaRose Elementary School, Lockport Upper Elementary School, Lockport Middle School, and Duwest Thibodeau Junior High School. She retired on May 31st, 1991, having served the Lafourche Parish School District for a total of 37 years. B, Sergeant Major Alan Carpenter, retired ROTC instructor, Mr. Randy Schwest.
Sergeant Major Alan Carpenter was hired by the Lafourche Parish School District on February 1st, 1981 as an assistant junior ROTC instructor at Central Lafourche High School. On June 30th, 1985, he was promoted to the senior Army instructor at Central Lafourche High School. He was once again promoted on May 5th, 1999 to military property custodian for the district. Sergeant Major Carpenter retired on May 31st, 2006, having served the Lafourche Parish School District for a total of 25 years.
Thank you. C, Mr. Wallace Arsenault Jr., retired teacher, Mr. Barry Blazons.
Mr. Wallace Arsenault Jr. was hired on July 1st, 1982 by the Lafourche Parish School District as vocational industrial arts teacher at Central Lafourche High School. Mr. Arsenault retired May 27, 2005, having served the Lafourche Parish School System for a total of 23 years.
Thank you. D, Mr. Hubert Arsamon, retired teacher, Mr. Tyler Dufresne.
Mr. Hubert Arsamon was hired by the Lafourche Parish School District on November 1st, 1978, as a teacher at Central Lafourche High School. Mr. Arsamon retired on January 1st, 1995, having served the Lafourche Parish School District for a total of 15.5 years.
Thank you. Let the record reflect that these resolutions were adopted by general consent and will be recorded on a special page of our minute book. Item 10, tentative dates for future meetings. A, Policy and Procedure Committee, Tuesday, March 16, 2021. B, Transportation Committee, Tuesday, March 16, 2021. C, Land and Facilities Management Committee, Tuesday, March 16, 2021. D, Insurance Committee, Wednesday, March 17, 2021. E, Finance Committee, Wednesday, March 17, 2021. F, Academics Committee, Wednesday, March 17, 2021. G, Board Member Retreat in Service, Wednesday, March 24, 2021. H, Advisory Committee, Monday, April 12, 2021. I, Regular Board Meeting, Wednesday, April 14, 2021. And there being no other business before this board, we are adjourned.